Just want to give you guys an update on what's going on. I have not I haven't been able to work out so much this week, mainly because I think I pulled a muscle, like, I don't even know exactly where it is, but it's like, it's kind of sore on my left side. And so I decided to take like maybe a week off and just kind of recover a bit. So, I mean, the pain's pretty much gone now, but sometimes when I pull a certain way, I can still kind of feel a little faint ache. And so I've just been doing a little bit of yoga, stretching. I actually did, what did I do? Cardio recovery from insanity, because it's mostly stretching, kind of yoga poses. And I also didn't want to get out of the vibe of doing insanity, because I still have about two and a half weeks left. And so it sucks to take this time off. I just really haven't been feeling insanity as much as I used to, but you know, I think we all go through those phases where you kind of have to switch things up. So I got back into running a little bit. I've been gradually increasing my my mileage a little bit. I have a race coming up, and look at my calendar, October 26th, and so you know, it's another 5K, but it's definitely that. It may actually be my last 5K before I start into 10Ks. So my next race is probably going to be a 10K, which is a huge step for me. I'm going to adjust my camera. It looks so crooked right now. Sorry. Don't fall. I think that's it. Okay. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what's been going on with the fitness part. Oh, well, also I started a new job, and I'm not able to get as many steps in because it's all about production. So it's a lot of sitting down and I'm not able to get up and stuff as much. I am taking my own advice and trying to walk a little bit during my lunch break. And so that gives me an opportunity to kind of just relax a little bit before I get back to work. But it's all a new environment, a new learning experience, which I'm very, very grateful for. But I definitely have to figure out how to, you know, to be more active and stuff at work, even when I do kind of have right now it's more of a sedentary kind of work environment. But I'm also proud to say that I'm feeling more motivated to get up in the morning to work out, because that's pretty much the only time I'll be able to get a workout in, unless I do it after work, which is probably going to be less of a chance that I'll do that. So yeah, so morning workouts are probably going to be coming back, so I'm excited about that. And yeah, it's not really very many things happening on that front. Eating. Let's talk about eating. So I am actually pretty satisfied with some of the decisions that I've been making lately. And I gave up, not completely, but I eliminated dairy from my diet for about a week now. Because I may have mentioned this before, but I was having problems with eating, and I could eat maybe really clean 80% of the time, and then for the rest of, I may have a meal that, you know, maybe wasn't so great. But the next day, like early in the morning, I would wake up and it felt like a bowling ball was sitting in my stomach, and I just felt so horrible. I didn't have any energy. I didn't want to be bothered. I said, you know, I can't keep living like that. I mean, that's miserable. And so one of the things that I said I was going to do is, you know, a lot of people tend to think that dairy and even gluten and stuff like that can cause those kinds of problems. So I said, you know, well, let me just try to eliminate dairy for a few weeks. And so even within like the first few days, I felt so much better. My digestion is better. That might be a little too much information for you, but I definitely feel a lot better. I feel more energetic, and you know, and as a disclaimer, I'm not telling you guys that if you feel really bad that you should give up dairy, you should never eat it again. Dairy's awesome. Ice cream is amazing. I mean, I'm never giving up ice cream. But, I don't have to have it every day. And, one of the hard things for me yesterday was we went to IHOP for dinner. Yesterday was just really, it was not a very good day. But we went to IHOP for dinner, and they always give you like the Cool Whip and stuff, and I actually took that off, and I didn't really miss it. I didn't really miss it. Right now, dairy is one of those foods where when I think about it, my body just kind of cringes. It just says, you know what, you can't, no. If my body just says just no dairy. And I realized this like when I tried a raw vegan detox last year for about a month. And one of the things was, of course, no dairy. And you're going gluten-free, and you're eating just raw food, and lots of juices, green juices and stuff. And my body was like really, really feeling good. But it's one of those things that you have to really be in that mindset to continue with it, especially to make it a lifestyle change. And I just wasn't at that point, but it was good to give my body a break. But one of the things that I found very interesting was that when I went back to eating going back to my old diet, it took a while for me to even start to incorporate dairy into my everyday eating, because my body was rejecting it. I mean, mentally, my body was rejecting dairy. And I just thought, man, what's up with this? Like, I used to drink a gallon of milk when I was a kid. Like, it's awesome. It's not that I hate the taste of it. It's just, I think my body just says, you know what, babe, I'm going to have to work really hard to make that stuff go through your body. So let's just not eat the dairy today, right? I think that's what my body's telling me. I think I still will have dairy and stuff from time to time, but it's just definitely not something that that I would have on an everyday basis. And to be honest with you, I don't even really miss it. I kind of had this feeling about meat, and I still do from time to time. I'm kind of like that with pork and with beef. If my boyfriend buys a steak and he cooks it, I might get a bite of it. But it's not one of those things that I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go out and get a steak, or I gotta go out and get this, I gotta go out and get that. I'd much rather eat a buttload of seafood as opposed to even chicken sometimes. So, but lately I've been on a chicken trip, so I don't know what's up with that. I'm just listening to my body, and that's one of the great decisions that I've been making lately, is just really, really listening to my body and what it needs, and it's telling me that it's okay to leave dairy alone a little bit. Thank God for almond milk. So I'm now going on my second week of not having dairy, and again, as a disclaimer, I'm not telling you to not eat dairy. That if you don't eat dairy, it's going to make you feel great. Some people have no problems with dairy, and it's fine, and they just love it. They'll never give it up. They love their cheese. Even I know people who are lactose intolerant, people who have IBS, and they say, you know what, I'm never giving up my ice cream. You do what you got to do. But for me, based on my experiences, it's just something that I'm going to be cutting back on. I still have a Cold Stone gift card that my mom bought me for Christmas that I haven't used. And every time I go near a Cold Stone, something always happens. And, maybe it's just not meant to be. I don't know. Maybe I just need to give the card away. But, yeah, it's been a year almost, and we haven't used it. So, I think maybe at the end of my 3 weeks of not eating dairy, I'm going to go to Cold Stone. So, another thing that I've been doing as far as making healthier decisions is I've been slowing down. I think when I first started creating this site and these videos and stuff, I was really so excited about trying to motivate people to lose weight, because I'm like, I've already lost 80 pounds and this and that, and granted, my weight loss journey started years ago, and the motivation that I had then is nowhere to be found at this point. Like, I'm not nearly as motivated now as I was back then, but I wanted to make these videos to inspire other people. I was so excited about it. And I still am. But, I really had to be realistic. And I said, one of the things that made it so successful back in the day when I started losing weight was that I started slow. I mean, it was like taking things very slow, a week at a time. And then, as I got more into it, I started, adding more goals and more things to try to work towards. But now I'm just really, really getting back in that mindset of just taking things slowly and trying to see how my body responds to it. Because my environment has changed, life has changed. There's so many different things that are going on now that weren't happening back then. When you're younger and you don't have as many responsibilities, you got all the time in the world to do, these awesome workouts and to get into different things. So now it's more so about being practical in many ways, but it's also really just about learning about yourself and what works for you. Um, and another thing about this whole thing is, my goals in the beginning, starting at 253 pounds, was about losing weight, of course. But now my shift is more about getting healthy and being fit. And weight loss is kind of one of those things that I just figure, it's gonna happen if I'm eating well, if I'm staying hydrated and I'm exercising and I'm keeping the stress low and I'm staying active. Weight loss should happen, right? But I have to be realistic. I've been eating at IHOPs. I ate at Zaxby's for lunch yesterday. I'm just keeping it real. I still do those things, but I have some things that I'm doing really well, and then there's some things that I still have to work on. So I'm taking it a step at a time, and just really trying to be realistic about this whole approach. And I don't want to stress out about foods that you can have and foods that you can't have. Don't eat this. Don't eat that. There are so many other things in this world that we should be really careful about. And granted, eating a lot of fatty foods and fried food and stuff like that in excess is just not good for anybody. It's one of those gradual things that is going to catch up with you. I'm aware. I'm a very educated young lady, and I'm aware of these things. So I'm not oblivious to what happens when you continuously eat. I was 253 pounds down to like 185 now. So I definitely know what happens when you eat in excess. But I also know what happens when you're not really, I also know that me maintaining a weight loss for an extended period of time wasn't about being strict. It was about being realistic. And it was about listening and understanding what was going on in my body. And also adapting to new changes and adopting new habits. One of the cool things that's happening also, I probably should have said this earlier, but I've been taking swim classes. So learning how to swim isn't necessarily about fitness per se. I haven't really thought about swimming in terms of, I want to go swimming so I can, get into shape and this and that. No. I want to learn how to swim because I'm tired of being that kid or person who's no longer a kid. Tired of being that person who stands at the shore because I'm scared of getting in the water, of not knowing how to swim and not really being able to enjoy hanging out with my friends and stuff. Being afraid to go on certain rides at water parks because I don't want to drown. I don't understand what's happening with the water. I don't understand how to stroke this way. I don't understand how to float, that kind of stuff. And so one of the things that I've been doing is taking adult beginner swim class, and I'm loving it, man. It's one of the things that I've really been very proud of the past few weeks. I have 2 more classes left, but I've learned so much in such a short period of time. And the cool thing is, you start to learn more about yourself. You're starting to face these fears, these things that, you didn't even think you were afraid of. I'm like, why didn't you learn how to swim when you were young? One of the reasons why I didn't learn how to swim when I was young, for one thing, I was never around people who wanted to go swimming. And I grew up on the water. I grew up on the East Coast. I grew up around water. So it's like, you think people swim all the time. But no, not really. Not where I grew up from. I mean, water was for fishing, shrimping, crabbing. It's an industry there. So, that's pretty much my association with growing up in the water, but it wasn't about swimming. It's never too late to learn something new. As a matter of fact, it's actually me and another guy taking this class, and he's a little bit older than me. And at first, when I realized that he and I were going to be the only ones taking this class, I was like, man, does everybody else know how to swim? And then I thought, maybe not. Maybe it's the fact that you and this guy are the only ones at this moment who are stepping up to the plate to, to overcome that. Or, maybe some people don't want to swim. This is a really good opportunity for me. It's something that it gives me more stuff to talk about. And it also, it's also something I can check off my bucket list eventually. But it's a process. You don't just take 4 classes and say, oh, I know how to swim. I don't, at what point do you know how to swim? Like, when do you say, I know how to swim? So for me, I don't have a problem learning the skills, as far as, well, right now I'm having problems learning how to stroke. But as far as being able to learn the moves, that will happen. I'm confident about that. But you cannot teach a person how not to be afraid of water, or how not to be afraid to lose control. My biggest thing in the beginning was, when my feet are no longer touching the bottom of the pool and my body is floating on water, and I have to trust myself floating on top of this water, what happens when I can no longer touch the bottom of the floor? What happens when I'm not swimming in 4 feet of water and I'm now in 6 or 8 feet of water? I'm about 5'7", 5'8", so at that point, even before then, this water is above my head at 6 feet. So that's the fear. That's when the fear kicks in, and then, we're not even talking about treading water and all that stuff, but, it's all a learning experience. And, I'm around people who are very skilled, and my instructor is not just an instructor. She's also been a lifeguard for over 10 years, and she's one of the things that really inspires me about this class is her confidence in what she does, and she's good at what she does. And yeah, that's pretty much what's happening. I hope you guys are making progress, and you are, living life in the best healthy possible way that you can. And I'm going to end my video there because I think I've been talking a lot today. I will talk to you soon. Take care.